This is The Roadmap with Ted Jenkin.
Hey everybody, this is Ted Jenkin and welcome to The Roadmap exclusively here on America's Small Business Network. Thanks for tuning in. Every week I bring you some of the brightest and best CEOs and entrepreneurs that are starting businesses, they're scaling them, they're growing them, and then one day they might exit stage left and be able to sell this business. I am pumped about this interview today because we're going to talk about the bourbon business a little bit in here. I've got on one of my good friends. I call him Southside Steve and James Rickman. Know him as Southside Steve here in Atlanta.
That was good. You're like my mom now.
Steve and James Rickman, right? Where did the James, what was the James about?
I am fifth generation James. So my father's middle name James, my grandfather, all middle name James. So I gave it to my son too. So I've got a Parker James Rickman, but he wasn't the first.
Now, people know the Triple S logo, but the Southside Steve, where did that come from? I know a lot of people want to know. You're known everywhere in Atlanta. Where did that, and it's around the country too, where did that name come from?
My cousin, Paul Waller, who I don't like for that reason. No, Paul used to tease me. My cousins all lived on the north side, and they lived in Dunwoody, and my mom is from West End, and my father was from Chamblee. And when he married my mother, the family was meddling too much. So he's like, where can I go to get away from this Irish Catholic family? So he goes to College Park, the south side off Old National Highway.
Yeah.
And for me, you are where you went to high school. So if you went to high school, that's who you are. No matter where you live in this world, that's what defines you. That's the music, that's what your personality grows from, I think. So my cousin always called me Southside at the family get-togethers.
Did?
So when you were in Buckhead dating girls, with tan legs that drove BMWs and were, freshmen in Athens, you didn't tell them you were from the South Side in Buckhead. You had to lie about that and be like, yeah, I live downtown. I live in Atlanta. I live in Buckhead. Where are you from? Atlanta. Because that was a secret. So he teased me about that. I made the mistake of telling Christopher Rude, who that's the first show I started on 96 Rock in 95, that my cousin teased me and called me Southside Steve. He goes, that's your name. You're Southside Steve.
Southside Steve, and that's how it took.
And that's how it took. And I'm like, no. I said, just call me Steve Rickman. No. So now he goes, you'll thank me one day. And I have continued to thank that man ever since. Now for 30 years on air, I've been Southside Steve. So I carry that flag. I'm born in West End. For 5 years we lived there. But West End Steve sounded like a DJ in a weird club.
But now fast forward this thing. I mean, you're the legend here in Atlanta on the radio. You've been in morning drive, afternoon drive. You've really done it all, but now you have a new show called the Southside Ride. What's that about?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a t-shirt. I can show it to you. Here's the t-shirt. So these are all the radio stations I'm on. As crazy it is. So we are a middle Georgia station, and we call the show the Southside Ride. Right there. There it is on Fox FM. And Fox FM is run by a gentleman named Chris Murray. And Chris Murray was my general manager. You've worked with Chris.
Yeah.
And he was for 6 years, but he's always owned radio stations. Now he owns 35 radio stations. So if he ever decides to exit stage left, you got it.
I'm going to sell that thing.
You sell it.
I'm going to sell those stations.
But I'm on 15 different stations every morning from 6 to 10. The radio station is in Fayetteville. That's where the Bear is, and the Bear's been on air. That's our sister station. But for me, he's like, where would you want to broadcast? I said, I want to stay on the north side. I live in Milton. My partner lives in Cumming. So for us, Alpharetta is where we broadcast in the Invest with Roots studio, high atop Oxygen Financial, which you own.
That's where it all lands today.
That's where it lands. So
and what's the show about? It's morning talk with records and everything like that? Is it?
Yeah, we play records.
You spin them in there?
No, we play CDs. We do it all. No, for us, the music is secondary. It is a talk show. I go about 40 minutes an hour from 6 to 10. What we do is I pick the music because we're independent. That's the word. We're not corporate radio. So I can be a little edgier. I can talk about politics. I don't get in trouble. I don't even think we have an HR department, which is great, which is fabulous. So for me, when we go on air, we've got some staples we've already built. We do Steve MZ instead of TMZ, where I talk about.
Probably funnier.
It is. I do a better job. But we talk about whatever's going viral. We talk about anybody in the news, famous or not, or anybody wealthy. I talked about a guy that stole another guy's porch. Who steals a whole porch, but a guy stole a porch?
Like a literal porch?
Yeah, and that's a federal offense. Don't steal somebody else's porch. But I talk about those type of stories, and then we have sports that we do. And then another segment that I really love is politictainment. And we say it on air, so I might as well say it here. Politictainment, because you look at a lot of politics and they can kind of be, those kind of people.
Those kind of people.
So by saying that, we take a view and we keep it middle of the road. We call it out the way we see it, and I would never be able to do that in corporate radio.
So I want to talk about what's going on in your businesses, but only a certain amount of people can get to have their brand be a business, and I feel like that's what you are today. One brand we just talked about is radio, but you're also the kind of guy where advertisers, they would keep coming back and saying, I want Southside Steve to read my commercials, I want you to rep my business, but you do that now for businesses all around the country, right? That you actually can go out and help them drive more top line revenue.
Well, through unemployment, which I did apply for. Hey, I have a right? Second time I've been on it because of radio. Thanks for that. But no, going on unemployment, I was looking, what can I do? I started looking at my career, and I started looking at radio's changing. Right now you see it in Hollywood. The reason SAG is so upset is because they can't make the money that they want. They're not going to be able to because it's too readily available. There's not 3 television stations. Nobody's going just to a movie theater anymore.
Sure.
So my business has changed. Corporate radio has changed. Salaries have fallen due to stock prices. So I'm on an independent station covering Middle Georgia and Atlanta on 102.1, and you can check me out on an app, MyFox FM, anywhere in the world. So that is great right now, but I'm like, I need another tool, and because I'm an independent radio, I can do things. They don't own my identity. So what I'm doing now, because you're right, I have always been a great endorser. Everybody has something they do best. First off, I have to believe in you. I have to know that you're the best for my listener.
That's smart, yeah.
Have to. I will not. I've turned down Pepsi. I would not endorse Pepsi. I'm from Atlanta. I drink Coca-Cola.
Did you turn down Pepsi?
Yes, I turned down a lot of money too.
Good for you.
I said I'm not doing it. Don't come after me, Southwest. I'm a Delta man. I fly Delta. If Delta wants to endorse with me in Coca-Cola, I'm ready. But I have to believe in it. I have to use it. So any product I talk about, whether it's LASIK eye surgery, I do it. I make sure I practice what I preach. And I want to have the best, whether it's a jeweler or whoever. So now, when I was out of work, I wanted to represent great companies. So you can go online and you can find me. I do what we call brand takeovers. So I will take over your brand for a week. I just did it for the Georgia Hemp Company.
Yeah,
Those will
great
come
company.
Out. Great company. They had an 8-story board ready for me. I knew my out cue. They allowed me to improv, and I took over their company for a week, and I went in for 5 days and ran it. And there's a fee for that, and I can do that for you and do a corporate takeover, or I can actually represent you for what I would call a normal talent fee in radio and talk about your product. Right now, I just finished up one called the salty. I'm losing it. I'm losing it, Ted.
Was it a donut place?
No, it's not. It's not that salty. It's actually. It's actually a condo in Panama City.
Oh.
And I'm representing a condo in Panama City because
that's good.
I know the family.
You don't know their name, they'll probably have you back.
Yeah, I know. I just ruined that one. Dang. No, I'm representing a condo. Next week I represent some corporate cleaners that go in and clean offices. But if you do something and you do it well, I want to talk about it and get it out on the social. So it's called Southside Steve's Side Gig.
So I want to talk to you about the main business here, which I know is growing like wildfire. I see people drinking it all the time, but the last 5 to 10 years, spirits have really picked up. You have George Clooney in the tequila business. You have many different kinds of bourbons that people are now become bourbon aficionados, so to speak. But tell us about your bourbon that's made right here in Georgia, the Yeah Come On.
Yeah, come on.
Small batch
I got to hold it when I talk about it. It's my baby. I hold it like a baby. Legends came to me, and Legends is a Georgia company.
So this is distilled right here in Georgia?
Right here. And it's in Cumming, Georgia. And we have 6 bourbons. We have a tequila. We have a gin. And we also have a brand new tequila called Rattlesnake. And when they came to me, they said, are you interested? And you're right, other people have brands. Jesse James Dupree is my brother from another mother too. I love him like I love you. He's a good person. And he has his own bourbon line. And then you look at Ron White. I'm buddies with Ron. He did tequila. And I'm like, I would love to do that. It was a dream until Legends came to me. And I said, all I drink is Jack and Coke. I'm a Jack and Coke guy. For 30 years, any bar I've walked into, a Jack and Coke's ready for me. It has to taste better. And I did an 80 proof. And the reason I did an 80 proof is I wanted it to be affordable. I wasn't looking for a white collar bourbon.
Sure.
I'm not looking for a high price point. I want it to be under $30. This is a blue collar, no collar, but drinks like a white collar. The reason is we have a quantum purity that we do. We take out 67% of the impurities. So this 2-year bourbon that is 80 proof drinks like a 5 or a 7 year, and it's smooth.
Is that because they have special technology?
It's the technology we've patented. It removes the impurities, and it's something I've been told don't go into.
Right, right.
But you can see it if you take a tour of our location, which we offer tours. But by taking out those impurities, we say no hangover, obviously no headache, no rosy cheeks, but it drinks smoother. So if you take a sip, and 80 proof is never anything somebody wants to drink on the rocks.
Am I taking a sip on air here?
Or straight up.
Yeah, come on.
I'll drive you home.
Do people do this on air?
No.
Ooh, that's smooth.
Smooth.
Not everybody on TV is drinking bourbon, but we're doing it here on America's Small Business Network. That's what we do.
Yeah, and Ted will be driving home. I took an Uber.
You love that.
You can talk right after it. Southside Steve Rickman. Yeah, come on. 80 proof. And my whole story's on the back, too. All about the radio.
But in all seriousness, Steve, on the business, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but I've seen you in and around town. You got to go from package or liquor store to liquor store. How do you get people, feels like there's so many vodkas, there's so many bourbons,
Sure.
there's so many tequilas. How do you, one, differentiate besides yourself and your brand? And how do you get distribution?
Well, distribution is the tough part. Here in Atlanta, we use Atlanta Beverage. We also use, which is an Anheuser-Busch distributor, and we also use Northeast. And
Okay.
Northeast is north of Forsyth County, so that'd be the north end of the state. And from Atlanta down, it's a
You
Atlanta
can't just
Beverage.
go knock on a liquor store and basically say, put some of my bottles in your store, can you?
No, you can, and actually you go out with reps, and what we do is tastings, and we also get in awards. We've gotten 2 gold medals and a silver medal
Wow.
in different awards, and that's what they look at. True bourbon drinkers know about the awards. We entered into the London Awards, and in London they taste, and I was up there, and I beat several big names, and I got a
Wow.
silver medal in the London Awards.
Congratulations.
And that's what people look at. So it's because it's an 80 proof, it's smooth, it's got a smoky aftertaste, it drinks, and it also has a sweetness to it. I did it to beat Jack and Coke. Yeah, come on and Coke is what you should drink if you want to drink it, but it drinks so smooth that people are drinking it on the rocks.
But
or straight up.
is your growth stunted by your distributor? I guess a lot of people that get in the alcohol business think they have a great product. That's hard enough. You've got a great product now. Impurities are out, 2 years, 80 proof, small batch. The bottle is reasonable cost for people. But you still have to get scale into the business. So
That is exactly it.
How
and that
do
is the
you
problem.
get scale?
Well, you have to go in, and I work Atlanta Beverage. I go in like a pep rally. I meet with the salespeople that are on the street. I talk to them about it. And I'm like, unless you push the way I'm pushing at liquor stores, do taste tests and bars, then when you get in the restaurant, you have to push the restaurants that have it. There's 3 right in the Alpharetta area. I go in on the regular and talk to the staff. When somebody orders a Jack and Coke or orders a bourbon, whether it's 4 Roses or Bullet, have them try mine. And then you do that, and you get somebody on your side, and you can give them perks, whether it's come on clothing or just a little
Everyone
love.
needs that.
Everybody needs that. Who doesn't need a come on hat? I give you a hat for selling my bourbon. I mean, that hat is the nicest hat there is. It's a Richardson 112, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's a $25 lid, Ted, and I'll give it to you for free. But when you go out, you've got to get the reps on your side, and then you've got to talk to the distributor, because when you're a distributor and that's the job you do, it's easy to sell Jack. They've got a huge name. But when you go in to push me, is there money in it for you? Not right now, but if you get them on your side, there could be, and that's what you have to do. You have to fire everybody up to push your product, and mainly it's Atlanta Beverage. They've got me for the state of
Right.
Georgia, and I've got to really be on their team, and now we're in Tennessee. We look to go in other states where we're with a group called Tri-Cities, a different distributor in Tennessee. Right now we're in Chattanooga, Clarksville.
So every single state has a different distribution rules, because a lot of the states are all personally owned. Like I think in the state of Georgia, you can only own 2 liquor stores and not more than that. But in other states, it could be more. But that whole state-owned liquor store model's kind of gone away.
It has, and that's the thing. You got to get in with these guys. They're all individuals, and you can talk to them, and you got to become friends with them. And the best way to do this is tastings. So when I'm there, I'll go out for 2 hours at a liquor store. You walk in, you may know who I am through radio. You may know who I am through the internet, but I'm going to have you try my bourbon and let you taste it. And if you love it, you'll buy it. And I can't tell how many people pick it up that don't have a clue who I am, but then they stand there and talk to me, and I let them know we're Georgia owned, but we're trying to make it all over the nation. And right now we're in 2 states, I hope to be in 5 states by the end of 2024. And we are going to London only because one of our partners is there and he has friends that distribute and he wants us in London. I'm like, why not? So yeah, come on's going there.
Right. You just need one state that it gets hot and people pick it up, because there may be, how many brands of bourbon in a liquor store? It'd be 30 to 50 at one time?
At least. And some of them are marketed so well.
Steve, is there something that you have to do? I've always heard, like in the alcohol business, if you're not at eye level in any kind of business,
True.
right, it's really difficult. Do you get a choice around the product placement, or no, they place you somewhere?
They place me somewhere, like Total Wine, for instance. We're in the 2 Total Wine locations in Alpharetta and Kennesaw. Alpharetta is the one I visit mostly because it's convenient. It's where I live. Those guys have put me middle shelf. They do wonders for me, and they're energized, and they talk about it, and they suggest things, because there's a lot of people, I'm getting a gift for a friend, a bourbon, do you know any good?
Right.
And they direct them because it's local. But I'm not going to lie to you. I go into liquor stores, I'm on the bottom shelf. That's painful. But
nobody's going to buy it. Nobody can see it.
No, they've got to look. They've got to look or know it's there. And that's where advertising is important. Doing what I'm doing with you right now, talking about a small business. Also, it's getting the distributor to do, they do posters. A lot of those are free that you can get through the groups. So I get a Yeah Come On poster saying Yeah Come On Bourbon Whiskey, and you get it on the doorway. If I can get it on the glass, then people know I'm in there and they'll search for it. That's key as well. Liquor stores are about doing that. Restaurants, not so much. You're not going to have a nice restaurant want to put my face on a picture on their glass. But liquor stores are a little more shameless. They don't care. They'll do that for you. And that's it. If you get on the door, that's huge.
How do you sell this business one day? You have to get somebody who wants to come in and take out the brand, or do they take out the whole distillery? Well,
they don't have to do the distillery. The distillery, we have many brands, but the deal I worked with Legends, which was a fabulous deal with Michael Gerard, he gave me 50.1% of Yeah Come On. So I can take this recipe, I can take it anywhere I want. If I was dissatisfied, or if I left, or if I chose to sell. It is my decision. It's also my decision on the marketing. And the good news is, too, we're going to have a QR code on the side. Right now it has my face and a YC, but we're going to have on there My Fox FM, where people can listen to me across the country, you know, on their Bluetooth and hear me. And this bottle will help me with my radio career, being on an independent radio station as well. But the main thing is, that is the best 80 proof bourbon whiskey in the world. I made sure with 6 months of testing. I worked afternoons and drove into work drunk once a week.
So it's going to be holiday time soon. If people are watching the program today, how can they get a bottle of this bourbon? Where can they pick it up?
Well, the good news is we're actually dealing with a group, and we hope to announce that works in 38 states, where you'll be able to buy it or have it shipped to you directly. Right now, you got to come to the distillery or go to a location and buy it by the bottle. We obviously sell it by the bottle in Cumming, Georgia. But if you can't do that, you can always send me a message. I'll make sure a bottle gets sent to you. But the best thing is to complain nicely to your liquor store or to your restaurant to get them to carry it, and they will. Enough people ask, they'll call. They'll start with 1 bottle, 3 bottles. But the good news is right now, 12 packs is the way you buy this. We're now going to 6 packs. We're going to do different packaging, and it will be color. So the box itself is an aisle display in a liquor store. So it's also changing with the times and what you can do to make it easier for them as a newcomer. You don't think twice buying a case of Jack, but you might think twice on me. So we do it in a 6-pack where you can, you know, wade in until it works for you. And then the other thing is yeahcomeon.com. Obviously, I have hats. I have a website that I've done for years, and I have a Yeah Come On bourbon hat and a different pricing. But to me, if you say Yeah Come On, it's a celebratory word. It's basically, hell yeah, I'm having a good time. Life is good. You know, and you can do a quick one too, where you just go, yeah, come on.
Well, I wanted to thank you so much for spending time on the show today. I got to tell you something, it's always exciting to interview entrepreneurs, and this is just a great example of what I call getting 3 side hustles to go at one time. And so check out Steve at 1021 Fox FM, the bourbon, the hats, and potentially if you want to do a brand takeover. I'm Ted Jenkins, and that is The Roadmap.
Thanks for watching The Roadmap with Ted Jenkins.